We're happy to have you all at this time when it is critical in Cameroon's life. It is critical for the citizens of Cameroon to look forward into their life, into their future, because nothing is certain. Nothing says Cameroon and Cameroonians have a life that will guarantee peace and tranquility tomorrow. As we all know, this post-election period has been critical and very tense. Today, Issa Tchiroma Bakary issued a statement saying some loyal military forces have taken him to a safe location. This is no doubt for those who have observed Cameroon's political scene over the last 7 years. Opposition leaders, especially those who look or appear to be strong enough to win over popular opinion and win elections, are always victim of threats. Atanganji Paul has not made any economy of threat towards Issa Tchiroma Bakary. Before the elections, he threatened Issa Tchiroma Bakary, saying plainly and on media that Issa Tchiroma is not living in a bunker and he could be picked up at any time. Last week, he organized a press conference in which he promised that Issa Tchiroma Bakary would be arrested and would face the law for incitement to rebellion, insurrection, and terrorism. Needless to say, there is no evidence to support these accusations. However, Tchiroma's presence in a safe location, as he said today, is important for Cameroonians to understand the stakes at which they are. It is no longer funny. Transitions in democracies are easy, but when they become difficult, security measures need to be taken. Also, Issa Tchiroma Bakary has called for more ghost towns beginning on the 3rd to the 5th of November. How that is ever going to play out, no one knows. Today was a ghost town across Cameroon. We don't know who called for that ghost town, but it was effective. Cities were dead. Douala was closed. Garoua was unlivable. Every place was silent. That is the effect of what we are living today. So today we are going to discuss these issues and other related issues with a panel of guests who understand what has been happening, who understand the history of ghost towns, and who can predict what could be the next steps. If anyone could predict what Issa Tchiroma Bakary could do tomorrow, that person will be here. But unfortunately, we don't have soothsayers who can see into Issa Tchiroma Bakary's plans. But we do know what we know, what he has told us. So with me today on the panel, my first guest is Mr. Derek Ndim. He's a human rights advocate and a scholar. We are going to discuss these issues because he knows them. Mr. Derek, you're welcome to the platform.
Thank you for having me, Ben, and also thanks to Mimi Mefo's team and all the partners who have coordinated this media outreach throughout this election period. You guys are doing an amazing job. I don't know if our people thank you guys enough. This is amazing, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Derek. We receive messages from left, right, center, far and near, congratulating us and showing serious appreciation for the work we are doing. Most Cameroonians understand that it is very difficult for traditional media at home to have such conversations. So they do understand that we are doing that. We are filling that vacuum, and Cameroonians are getting the information that they should get live and when they should actually get it. Just want to give special shout out to Botang. Botang, Mr. Martin Tomo. He is a music guy. He looked for my number. I don't know how he got it, but he searched and he got to me to show his gratitude for what we're doing. He doesn't know me. I don't know him, but he only knew me across this platform. And we're also sending our heartfelt gratitude to all those who are watching us, those who stay awake, those who come back to find what we have produced, those who ask us to come. Thank you so much. Those who have subscribed on all our platforms, Mimi Mefo, CNA, Beyond Africa Podcast, thank you so much. Please continue subscribing, share the information, comment, and let us know how we are doing. We really want to continue this journey with you all. We are in the trying moments, and democracy must prevail, isn't it, Derek?
Definitely. I think, yeah, one cannot overemphasize the importance of independent media. In real countries around the world, media is a powerful tool in the dynamics of how a state or country is run. But we come from one which the media is either controlled by the state, or you are not allowed to practice, your media or your journalism freely. So that is why I must say, as activists, we must appreciate, independent media, what you guys are doing, taking your time and resources to ensure that you fill in the gap. It's an opportunity for all of us whom, when we were kids, we were promised that we were the future of tomorrow. And we have grown up to realize that those who promised us, they still want to be the future. So it's an opportunity for us now to realize that this is the future and step in the gap like you guys are stepping in. There's a lot. There's a multifaceted uh, things. There's a lot of weightlifting that we need to do. Media, in terms of law, everything around that country. There's only people, independent people like you guys are doing. We need to, step up and step in and do all of these things to kind of like clean the swamp, if I may borrow Donald Trump's words, because that is what it is. The system right there is a swamp, and there is no way for survival of common people if individuals, independent voices don't stand up and do the work.
Thank you so much. I won't be reminding anybody of what you have done with independent media, but we are very grateful for all these flowers you are throwing on us, and they encourage us to keep on doing what we are doing. Most Cameroonians think that Issa Tchiroma Bakary won the elections, and he just mentioned what we were told when we were younger about being the leaders of tomorrow. But Issa Tchiroma Bakary himself is not a young man. What do you think motivated Cameroonians to choose Bakary over other younger people? We had Cabrali B, Iyodi, Joshua Osi, Matomba, but Cameroonians went for Issa Bakary. He's not young, he's not a future, but
Yeah, in my opinion, the vote for Issa Tchiroma was an anti-Biya vote. It was a protest vote. But when you look at the spectrum of opposition leaders that presented themselves during this election, you would see that Chiruma was the only person who had that energy. Young people now like to say "Ura for Ura, vibe for vibe." Chiruma had that energy. He had that vibe. So I'm not surprised that when people were protesting not to vote for the system, they chose the person with the most energy in the room, whom at this time was Chiruma.
but at his age, I think he's 76. How would he have more energy than people of
No,
you and I, our
no,
generation?
this is optics, right? It's just looking at the 2 weeks of electoral campaign. Who was the candidate with the most energy that demonstrated like he's listening to the people? When he spoke about what he intends to do, it sounded real. It sounded like he was in touch with the suffering and the pain of the masses. And what is going on right now? There was one guy whom Mimi did interview. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think he's from Canada or so. He's an intellectual, but he's not in touch with the daily realities of what's going on the ground. But Churuma was, when you listen to what I would call his manifesto, the way he spoke to the issues, the economic issues, the bread and butter issues, you know that this is somebody who has got his mind on the right place in terms of what the problems are, how they need to be addressed, and all of that. So I think that's what made voters to ultimately see him as the alternative candidate.
Yeah, and I know viewers are eager to hear something more about action, but let's lay the foundation before we get into the action part of it.
Okay.
But anyway, the next question has something to do with action.
Okay.
Chiruma is the first opposition leader to actually say that there is a loyal army or loyal part of the army that has worked with him or collaborated with him. And we got that information very early today that they have taken him to a safe location, not his own personal security, but the army. How did you receive that information?
I have expected. I've expected that. I have always thought that a lot of people within the military ranks are not contented with what is going on and how the country is run. And immediately when it was demonstrated that maybe Tchiroma has won, I already knew that there would likely be defection in the military and security forces, where some would say, "Listen, we need a change and we'll have to back up this guy." My suspicion was that probably because the regime doesn't want an outsider to take over power, there will be some sort of a coup. But right now, with the information that we got today, I believe that there's a faction in the military, and it will only grow because once the balance of powers are offset, people would start gravitating towards the side that has a future. And I don't think that the regime has a future. I think their end is near.
So if there is already, what I'm hearing from you is there is already clear evidence that there is a faction in the military, one that is supporting Tchiroma, and then one that stays with Paul Biya.
Yeah.
So wouldn't the one that stayed with Paul Biya and his group quickly organize a coup to take away Paul Biya and then arrange things amongst them before Tchiroma's own part is coming in?
I think one of the biggest moves that we have seen Tchiroma made repeatedly since the 12th was anticipation. He has been a few steps ahead of the regime, probably because he's coming from the system. He knows their playbook. He knows what their next steps are. So far up to now, all we can see is that he has been a step ahead of them. So we can only judge somebody by their past actions. So I'm assuming that he has got, some steps ahead that he has planned. There's a lot of speculation. I don't want to speculate. I want to see it play out. But I know that there's a lot that's going to happen.
Derek, I don't know you as somebody who speculates. I know you as an analyst, a critical one for that matter. You project, you use scenarios to determine possibilities, and I would like you to do that, not actually speculating. So when you are doing your scenario analysis, what are you saying beyond the two factions? Maybe as we learned today, there are already two factions in the military, one that is going to defend Tchiroma and one that could be defending the status quo. Is there a possibility of a third faction in the middle that will say, okay, not Tchiroma, not the status quo, but somebody independent?
Yeah, I think we would rather start by looking back, right? We have been here before 1992. Everybody remembers where it was clear that the SDF had won power, and those same steps played out. Like SDF, when they looked at the numbers that came in from the polling units, they saw that they won. Constitutional Council declared the regime had won, and then Frundi was defiant. He protested, and he said he's not going to accept the results. What did the regime do? They set their repression mechanism at play, and the people obviously would join, the person whom they believe is the people's choice to protest. So this regime counts, first of all, on the system that they have in place, that they will overrun whatever resistance that the people or the opposition brings at them. That's what they run on. That's their fuel. They know that they are confident that they have the army. Right now, what we are learning is that there's a faction loyal to the constitution that is patriotic, that is now standing with Tchiroma. But the regime, the guys within the system, they count on that system that they have put in place, that they are going to run down whatever resistance the people throw at them. So they know that people will protest. They know that people will go on the street. They are not scared of killing the people. They have already started doing that. They are not scared of infiltrating those organizing these protests, throwing people in jail. All of the tools that the regime uses are things that we know. So they are going to do that. The question is, Are the people going to bear the heat long
let's talk
enough
about
for the
let's
regime
talk
to
about
die?
the let's talk about the reaction that people would have in a moment. I
Mhm,
note that you say that the regime believes in the military and they'll definitely be using the military as the only playbook that they know.
mhm,
So we'll talk about how the people react to that in a moment.
mhm.
Let's welcome Mr. Mbu Tristan, who is a missionary and a lecturer. You are welcome to this platform, Mr. Mbu.
Hey, welcome, Mr. Vu. Can
Mr.
you hear?
Mbu, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hello, Mr. Vu. Can you hear us?
Yeah, good evening.
Hey, good evening,
Those
sir.
are really bad, and I can barely hear what you're saying.
Wow.
And I
Um,
can't use a VPN this night has actually failed. I don't know what's going on.
yeah, the connection with you is terrible. Let's see if you can join us by audio.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see if you can join us by audio. Technician, please see if you can if Mr. Mbu can join us on audio. But in the meantime, let me come back to Mr. Derek. Everyone knows that the regime relies on military repression. Do you think the military does not have or the regime does not have another playbook? Do they have only one?
No, it's first of all they first of all have to win in the field, right? Like use the military to tire down dissenting voices. They are locking people up rampantly. They are killing some people. They are getting people scared. They know that very soon people protesting would get hungry. And when people get hungry, what happens? They start just trying to feed themselves. And that is how life gradually gets back to normal. And the regime keeps power. Obviously, the regime is still counting on they're counting on their foreign partners whom they are doing business with. That's the international community per se. You have seen the international community has been very shy in congratulating Paul Biya for his announced win. That's a telltale sign that they can see the handwriting on the wall. They can look at the result of falsification this year that it didn't really play out, and they are worried that the people might really stand up all the way. So that's why probably they are shy. We haven't seen all the congratulations from all the known places that we know, like France, the EU, condemning electoral violence, the UN, the same thing. But we have seen again the usual enablers. The AU has congratulated the regime. We have seen this gentleman from Gabon who also got to power questionably through coup arrangement. He has congratulated the regime. We have seen Obiang, which is birds of the same feather. So you are seeing a world where people who do those kinds of things, they are banding together to support each other. That's what they do, you know. But the fact that the major powers that we know, the US, France, they haven't really outrightly just said congratulations for winning the election. I feel like their delay hesitation because they want to see where the chips would fall.
Tibon Naj made a post today in which he said it's the current US government policy that they will not make statements about elections, but that does not necessarily mean that they will not take actions when necessary. I just wanted to clarify that point about these statements. But one thing I wanted us to also note is these letters of congratulations appear to me as if it's an intentional request by the government to get these letters of congratulations from outside as a sign of legitimacy, which smells like it has an order of the 2018 Transparency International guys who were present in Yaoundé. But Transparency International debunked that they didn't send any representatives or any observers to monitor the elections. Do you have that same feeling? And why would the regime be doing that if their source, if their greatest power has always been the military?
It is desperation. They are desperate. The regime is desperate. If they are fishing for congratulatory messages, it should not be a surprise to anyone. You can sense that. I mean, after the declaration of the winner, 24 hours, 48 hours, there was probably only one congratulatory message that came from international source, which was that from neighboring Gabon. So, and then it took about like the third day before we start seeing others trickling in. Their international relations, I believe, would be working overtime, trying to convince diplomats and all of that to push them to, just support us and kind of like the entire regime. It's what is called a fait semblant. They're always putting up a mirage. They're always trying to show that things are okay. They're always trying to show that they've got things under control. So it's not something that's surprising to me personally. That's what they do.
Yeah. So now I'm trying to draw some parallels here because you made a point about the regime having just one element in their playbook, which is military repression. Why would they be hunting and buying or convincing and really fishing for congratulatory messages if the playbook is repression?
They understand that legitimacy is important for the regime. When you for every thief, they don't want to be known as a thief. Although they are stealing, they also still want people to recognize them as a normal person who's living. So it's how they play the game. Yes, they are stealing, but that's not what they want to be known for. They want to be seen as a state. That the other day I did an article and I said everybody must call this people their regime, because it's a group of people who are using state resources to protect themselves. It's not a government, because a government, it's an institution or an organization that's using Commonwealth resources to help and protect the people. But these guys have proven over 43 years that they are using all resources on and everything to protect themselves, to keep themselves in power. So they are a regime, they're not a government.
Thank you. Let's turn gears now and talk about what is happening in Cameroon today, the ghost towns. Did you have any echoes about ghost towns today from Cameroon?
Yes. The images that we've gotten from the ground has shown ghost towns in most parts of the country. Also, they have shown protests. Like I was speaking to somebody from Douala, I think in Bonaberi around Garuti or so. People came out to protest, and some parts of the country, I think people came out for protest. But Tchiroma, who is the man of the day in the country now, he has called for these ghost towns next week. I'm very certain that they will be effective. Why? Because I think that he has the ears and eyes of the people. And the regime doesn't have that level of influence right now on the people as Tchiroma has demonstrated over the last few days.
So Tchiroma called for street protest on Sunday. He called for just one day. If those were effective, why would he shelve the street protest and then jump over to ghost towns?
It's still a demonstration of influence. If you can shut down operations in a country by mere words, it shows that the people are listening to you. It shows authority. And that's what ghost towns have been used for. It's just showing those who claim to be the government of the day that they are not the government of the day, that they are not the people that the people have chosen to rule over them. So it's another way of demonstrating authority. He showed one by calling people to come out. They came out. Despite all the threatening and military presence, they came out. Now he has said they should stay in. If they stay in, he has demonstrated both ways that the people chose me to lead them, and I'm talking to them and they're listening to me.
I like this. He said, "Come out." They came out. He says, "Stay in." They stay in. So if the people respect the ghost towns, it means they are looking up to him for leadership, because he said, "Go out." They went out. He said, "Stay in," and they stayed in. So with all this, how would that take him to Ituri?
I don't know exactly. I'm not privy to the cards that Tchiroma would play, and honestly, I don't think that we should, like, because of knowing who the regime is, we are not having a legal situation where we can look at the textbook and say legally this should happen, this should happen, this should happen. I think he has his hands close to his chest and is revealing his moves as he goes on. So far, what I've seen is that he is proactive. He is steps ahead of the regime. And I really like that. And I think that the response from the people on the ground, you can see that they are responding to how he is taking those steps and those actions positively. So I like that. But what maybe I would want us to fall back to and discuss, Bernard, if you guys permit, it's gonna take this conversation and other conversations as the state apparatus, the setup of the country, how it is set up in favor of this regime, of this set of people who are running the system, and against every other person else, me, you, and every other common person. The system is set up against us. That is the fundamental issue that we have in that country, because the state, they have this system that they have set up to protect them as elites, and how they are doing it is even their children and their relatives, they are sending them to a NAM and a MIA to come and take over after them. So we have a country that has been run by less than 1,000 people, probably less than 300 families or so and their relatives. That's what's happening. So we need to put on our activism caps and start thinking of how do we dismantle this system and ensure that we take away this power and the state resources from this group of people, because that's what they're trying to keep it within their circles.
And it appears to me that at this point, so much pressure may be on Tchiroma already, and the people are kind of abdicating that role that they could play to assist Tchiroma in setting up the strategy. Is that the impression you have? Is everyone looking up to Tchiroma, or people are contributing on the? Yeah, tell me.
Yes, I think it's lazy, especially for activists, for people who the system have taught enough lessons to become activists like myself, to just sit down and say we are waiting on Tchiroma. The problem is our problem. The state has been looted from all of us, not just from Tchiroma. So as Tchiroma is putting his actions in place, trying to take his mandate, it's imperative that all of us come together as civil society, as activists, as media personalities, and have our own counter strategies to also be countering what the regime is doing. That is how we can help Tchiroma right now.
So in this movement, or in this approach, how do citizens ensure that their strategies are helpful to Tchiroma and does not directly contradict what Tchiroma is advancing as its own strategies?
Yeah, so far I've seen what Michel Doki and team are doing, what the independent initiative where they were trying to audit electoral results. That is important. I've seen what you guys have done with media over the last couple of weeks, like really highlighting and showcasing what the opposition is doing, what the opposition is trying to sell to the people as an agenda. That's very important. So those are two things that are already happening. Now, post-election, what we saw during the election and what we have seen, what the facts are demonstrating, is that the results that the Constitutional Council proclaimed to be the results of the election doesn't reflect the results that came from the various polling units. I mean, people from Northwest and Southwest, I've heard all sorts of cries and complaints about how disgruntled people are that the regime would, just spit on the face of people from Northwest and Southwest despite the 9 years of crisis, and claim that they have won with such ridiculous numbers from these places. Now, if we just leave it at that, disdain, we hate the fact that they have cheated, they have fabricated those numbers. If we leave it at that, that's not good enough. We need to do the work to demonstrate how this happened, who are responsible for these actions, who are the people in the Northwest and Southwest that fabricated these numbers. That is, who are the Elecam officials that oversaw elections in places like Batibo, back in my village in Ginicom, that made one of the SDF guys to resign when the results came out. We need to highlight the people who have done this injustice to the people, because it's not. I don't think it's the regime. I don't think it's a Tanganji that went to Ginicom and falsified results. I don't think it's a Tanganji who personally went to Batibo and falsified results, and every other place else. I mean, on the day of election, people from Kome were reporting that Ngalim has been beaten in his constituency of Kome, where he is claiming to be the king. And all that. But when results came out, we are seeing numbers showing that he won. So it's for the people, it's for civil society to come together, legal minds to come together and put together real cases against these people, the people who orchestrated the fraud. If there is PVs from various polling units from a particular area, those PVs should be put together, taken to a law court. Yes, those courts are all courts that are run by the system, but it's for the record. It's not for them to decide. It's just to show them on the record that, listen, in this area, for instance, when we listened to the duo from Newuh, he said 100 people voted. But when we started looking at the results that came in from the Elecam publications, we saw that in Newuh, about 5,000 people or so voted for the CPDM. Those are things that we should checkmate legally. People from those communities, of course, the initiative should be led by lawyers, by legal minds and activists and organizations like the independent organization that Michelle Doki is leading. They should, go and challenge this independent results in the independent locations and have it on record that this is wrong. This is not what happened in Bali. This is not what happened in Batibo. This is not what happened in Newuh. This is not what happened in once challenge that, or you have lodged at least a formal case against those things, because electoral malpractice, according to the constitution of the country, is illegal. Once you have launched those things locally, yes, the government is not going to do anything about it, but it gives us the power to take them internationally and start putting the names of those people who are responsible for the miscarriage of justice and the miscarriage of democracy, to start saying, can we get travel bans from this Africa, like the UK, like France, like Europe, like the European Union? If we don't do things that would affect the individuals that do those things, that use the systems against the people, next election, next parliamentary election, guess what? They will still do it. So we need to make it very unsavory for them to do it again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Derek. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching us. And we love the comments you are giving us. We love the good comments. We love the appreciations about Derek and his flow. We are seeing some of the other comments that we don't really like. You can criticize any person you want to criticize, but we don't like you insulting people. We don't like you throwing out tribal jabs out there. It's your opinion, but we don't like that on this platform. We are very happy with the conversations you are having. Somebody was asking how to support Tchiroma's plans financially. We're going to have somebody who's going to share with us what he thinks can be done so far, but the person is going to join us very soon. Let's see if we can have Mr. Mbu Tristan on the platform right now while Derek is catching some breath.
So let me just make one comment about the tribal comment that you just said right now before I drop the mic, Ben. You see, what the regime has done is there's this idea, there's this mirage that they have put out there that the regime is Bulu and Beti, and the regime hates the Bamileke for whatsoever reason, and the regime hates the Northeast for whatsoever reason. All of those things are they're just making us pawns, right? They want the Bamileke people to hate Bulu people and to jointly hate Northerners, the Fulanis or whatever they call. These are all political plays, and when people play into the tribal bigotry, where they are like, oh, all of those things, they are tools used by the regime. And when we join their narrative and we play to their gallery, we are just helping and assisting them. The regime is a group of people. I've said it's probably less than 500 families. And I would hope that investigative journalists can actually track down the profiles of everybody in that regime. You realize that it's less than 500 families. And those families are not just Bulus or Betis. They come from across the country and they have made themselves a clan. And they are claiming that they are Bulus or Betis. They are not. When you go to the south of the country, there's a lot of poor people. There's a lot of people who don't get services. There's a lot of people who are as marginalized as everywhere else in the country. But this elite, this class of people, Atanganji is not from there. The Prime Minister got John Gute, he's not from there. Yes, we now know that most of them are married from there. They are trying to integrate and tell themselves that, they are all part of the clan and all of that. But I want us to see them as a group of elite that have captured the country, our country, taken away our resources, taken away our rights, and they are making us to suffer. That's how we should see them, and then we should fight them together.
Thank you. Someone said they are not elite. They said they are just CPDM people because elite comes with very positive connotation.
No, from the beginning of time, bourgeoisies are elites. Like whether if you go down back in time from when the revolution started in Russia, those are elite. It's a class of people that they have taken the common resources of everyone and they are using it to protect themselves. They are elite.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ms. Ambu, you're welcome. Ms. Ambu, can you hear me? Ms. Ambu, can you hear me? We are definitely having network issues with Ms. Ambu. Ms. Ambu, can you hear? All right. While we see what happens with Ms. Ambu's network, Mr. Derek.
Yes.
Yeah, we are in a situation where ghost towns are being used as a strategy. You said you're not in Chiroma's mind. You don't understand what Chiroma works on. You don't know his strategies. But this is not the first time we're using ghost towns in Cameroon. You already mentioned the 1990s. Then we know what is happening in the northwest and the southwest, the southern Cameroons since 2016. It's been effective where Monday has automatically become a ghost town day. That one is known as indisputable. Do you think it has pushed the government as far as recognizing that the people sitting down or sitting back at home on Mondays is an act of civil expression? And if this post-electoral period goes into that mode, the whole nation would therefore be saying that government, we don't recognize you, we recognize Issa Tchiroma Bakary?
Yes, ghost towns and any other form of civil disobedience, whether it's street protests against the governments and all of that, they are effective non-violent tools of fighting against systems and regimes like the one in Cameroon. They are very effective methods, but like I said initially, there need to be other things that are being done. The work that you guys are doing in media, and I just mentioned a while ago that we need investigative journalists amongst us to actually come up, profile the entire regime, the entire system. Who are the
Give me a moment. Let's see if Ms. Ambu is on.
Oh,
Ms.
okay.
Ambu?
All right, go ahead.
Can you hear us? No way. No way. We can't hear you. Looks like you can hear us, but we cannot hear you.
Maybe you should try audio.
Maybe. Let a technician try to see if Mr. Mbu can come on audio.
Yeah, Mr. Mbu, try coming on without your camera. Maybe your network would support just audio. Let the technician also try like putting off his camera. Then is he from back home? Probably
Yeah,
he's in
back
an
home.
area where network is being rationed. That's what the regime has been doing the last few days in some places.
Yeah. All right. Derek, let's talk ghost towns. I know I interrupted you as you're talking about ghost towns and talking about the other alternatives that could push citizens. Do you have any experiences from around the world that you want to share with viewers on how different governments were compelled to listen to the people using different strategies? Like in Burkina Faso, there was massive uprising, peaceful, no guns. In other systems, there have been guns. In other systems, there's been coup d'etat. Can you just walk us through a few examples that you know?
The best example for me when I'm looking at the 43 years old regime, I would say let's look at the fight against apartheid. Because it took time, 50, 60 years, and we are fighting against a system that is over 40 years old too. So if you look at how the ANC, the South African Communist Party, and all the other organizations fought against the ANC, there was a plethora of non-violence methods that were being used. Although people see mostly the armed uprising, the armed faction of the ANC that started really fighting back the military, there was a lot of non-violence approach to fighting the system, the apartheid system that was deployed. And a lot of this was done through civil society, labor unions, and other civic organizations. The 72s, the youth uprising, it was led by school children. School children were just asking for reforms. They wanted that the language of instruction should be English, not Afrikaner, as the white people of South Africa of the day were choosing for them, that they needed to learn in Afrikaans. Then there were labor unions, various labor unions who were just demanding for as simple as wages, decent wages. They were demanding for better pay. We have all these civil society, all these organizations back home who are struggling. Like teachers are underpaid, lawyers are being disrespected. I don't still think in English courts right now they are practicing the common law. They are still pushing the civil law, but lawyers have kind of backed down. That's a front right there. That's a struggle right there that is never supposed to stop until they push back, until the regime accepts the reality that this is what these people want. They want the common law. Teachers, are they paid properly? Are they paid the same way that teachers are paid around the region and all of that? I don't think so. So teachers have to have their own struggle right there going on. Yes, they need to be organized. They need to be provided with strategy and all of that. But teachers organizing needs to happen. Let's go to the people in the markets. They are being taxed. I don't know how many.
Yeah, but Derek, we understand all these problems.
Yeah.
How did they get to push out the apartheid government without keeping away the violent side of it? How did they get to that?
It was these struggles. It was those independent struggles, and it was mostly found in civil society, labor organizing, that made the apartheid government to fall. It was not the fighting. It was civil society organization. It was
how did they do that? For example, we are now in a situation where we understand that this government does not want to go and will not go unless Cameroonians are bent on making the government go.
Yes.
And Cameroonians want to put themselves together, as we have seen over the last month or so. They are putting themselves together to push the government out. So what are the specific actions that Cameroonians could take to ensure that they survive to do this?
activate struggles in all fronts. I've said that every sector in Cameroon has got issues. This is the time to table those issues. Let the teachers stand up with their issues right now and say these are the issues that needs to be addressed. The lawyers the
No,
same.
but all these issues are already known.
They are known, but they are
But
not being
we are
solved.
facing an electoral problem now where
Yeah.
the constitutional council has declared Paul Biya as a winner, but
Yeah.
almost everybody knows that that is not the right result. So how do you push that particular problem now?
For the election situation, I already mentioned earlier that I think that just saying that the votes from this place are wrong and the votes from that place are wrong are not good enough. We need to take the individuals responsible who have contravened the electoral act to court, charge them to court. Who was responsible for changing the numbers, or who was responsible for the votes in Bali, for instance, in Batibu, for instance? Can we take that person to court and say, this is what the people voted, this is what came from the polling unit, and this is what you sent to Elecam? Can we charge that individual to court? Can we do that across the country? That is an action. It's a big action because you'll be holding small fish. The regime cannot protect all of them. Some of them would have to face the law and go to prison because the electoral code clearly states if you falsify results, if you do anything to the electoral process that stops from being liable for a 1 year to 5 years imprisonment and a fine and all of that. Can we actually charge those people to court, those individuals to court? Can we know their names? Can we know the person who falsified results in Fundong, in Jiniko? Can we bring out their names and put them to public? Let the pressure go to the people who are responsible for these actions. I don't think Atanganji went and did that. It's people. We know them. They're our neighbors. They're our friends.
But do you for once think that if you charge this person to court, Atanganji Paul could just pick his phone and call the judge and say, dismiss that case immediately, or don't even let the evidence come in? Don't let the evidence come in.
These are their courts. It doesn't matter. You are doing that to put it on record so that we can now put a list of all the people who are anti-democracy and go to the State Department in the US and say, these are the people who falsify election results in Cameroon and should be banned from traveling to the United States. Do the same in the UK. One thing that these people, this elite like is because they have all this money, they love traveling, they love going for holidays, they love buying properties abroad. Can we limit that for them? Can we constitute action enough that we would make it possible for those people not to be able to travel to all the destinations that they love traveling to? That's an action. But for us to carry out that action, we need to do the local action first. Charge the local people to court. Let them confess and say, no, it wasn't me. It was the divisional delegate. Let us go to the divisional delegate, you know.
All right. Thank you so much, Derek. Let us bring Mr. Ben Modo, who's in the background. Ben, it's a long time I have been trying to get you, but you've been so busy and so unavailable.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been easy. Good to be here.
You've been going to places no one goes to. Have you been to the sacred forest all this while?
I've been somewhere. It's best if I don't say where, because I plan to go back shortly.
All right. Cameroonians really, or viewers really don't want to know where you went to, but they just want to know the news you're bringing.
Well,
should Cameroonians trust that Issa Tchiroma Bakary is going to be in Etoudi anytime soon?
Yeah, I think so. I think the new president understands the situation. I believe that he has a plan. He has a game plan. I may be on its right when it comes to that plan because he recently announced stage 3. Well, I trust him, though I'm thinking that knowing the people I know on the other side, we may just have to go directly to step 5. And then that's what we are preparing for at this time. So we trust the president. We trust President Tchiroma. We believe that he's a skilled politician. He's a great leader. And that he has a plan. We understand the plan. And he's very clear when it comes to that plan. and we trust that he will do well. However, like I said, we are waiting for him on step 5. That's where we're going to be waiting for him.
So you are going far ahead of the president. Is that normal? They're not breaching protocol.
No, we are just preparing the tools so that if the president decides to go to step 5, that everything be ready by the time he gets there.
Therefore, you're telling me that the maximum is step 5. Is that the ceiling?
Well, as far as we are concerned, we believe that it all has to come to that phase. I mean, we trust that before the president will be successful in doing what he's doing, we wish him well. We believe that he has everything he needs to make it happen. We are calling for the Cameroonian people to help the president do what has to be done. Support him. If he says ghost towns, let's help him. Let's have those ghost towns. But some of us believe that knowing who is on the other side, it just has to come to step 5. And so we are comfortable waiting for the president at that point.
Oh, so you are telling me that you're just waiting for step 5, and step 5 is the apex of all the steps. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
What I'm saying is that I'm not hoping that we get to that stage. I'm hoping that the president will be successful doing what he's doing, because he's very good at it. And so my prayers are that we don't get to that point. I'm hoping that the president will solve what needs to be solved in step 3, and if need be, in step 4.
What is making you think that the people on the other side, that is Paul Biya's camp, is not going to succumb to?
Because I know their mindset. I know there are people. Think about this. President Biya was minister 13 years, prime minister 7 years, president 43 years. Think about it. That's 63 years. Now, when you spend the time the man has spent where he has spent it, and then you have people around the president who believe that they are entitled, who believe that it's their heritage, it's their right and duty to be there, you are not going to convince such a man with nice words. You are not going to convince such a man to leave simply because there was an election. They don't believe in elections. They believe that they are the electorate. So they decide, they are the people. So if they say they go right, they go right. And so when you know how they think, you know that, okay, listen, we trust the president. I said it. We trust the president. We believe that he can make it work. We just don't feel that it's worth our time waiting where we are right now. So that's why we are trying to organize to help the president make sure that if it comes to step 5, that he be prepared to do what needs to be done.
Do you think Cameroonians patient enough to wait to see out the president's steps 3 and 4 before getting to 5?
Well, Cameroonians elected a president. That president is Issa Tchiroma Bakary. He's the president of the republic right now. And so his country is occupied by people who are basically stealing from the people, stealing from the country. And so it's the president's duty to make sure that those people are driven out of office. Now, he has a plan. We are resources that if the president decides, he can use whenever he wants. We are simply saying that as far as we are concerned, we think that it's best if we prepare for step 5, because we don't want to be surprised because one thing the government of Mr. Biya has done and has done well over the years is that they have time on their side. They can wait out any situation. They have the money, they have the resources, they have all the means you can imagine to wait out a specific problem. They have been in this movie before. So they know that at one point, they have unlimited resources, you don't. So they can take you out on a ride and just accompany you until you get tired. And so because we know that, we are saying, let us not be in the same place we were in 1992 or 2018. So,
thank you, Ben. Let me. I see Mbu is in the studio. He's been trying to get on set. We've brought him a couple times, but his audio is problematic. Let's see if we can get him, then we'll get back to you. Hello, Mr. Mbu. You're welcome back. Can you unmute yourself? You're unmuted, but I cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. We see you talking, but we cannot hear you. No way. We see your mouth moving, but we cannot hear you. Yeah. Stuff. So sorry. So sorry we cannot hear you. But let me I don't know. I think the technicians are trying all their best to get you in. But let me come to Ben. Ben, we are in a situation where the president said today that he was saved by some members of the military.
Mm-hmm.
How confident are you that those who saved him are actually not part of the military that is loyal to Paul Biya? How do you see our loyalty in this case to determine that the loyalty really is to Tchiroma?
Well, I'm not in a place where I do not have the tools to qualify or judge their motives. And so I've not been previewed to that specific point. And so I simply trust the president that if he says they are trustworthy, then I believe they are until proven otherwise.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Now, the president called for ghost towns. Looks like you are not in favor of the ghost towns because to you is going to waste time. Is that what you're saying?
Let me be clear. Let me be clear. What I'm saying is that the president has a full view. You know, as you can imagine, the president's dealing with different factors. And on our side, we are just one factor in the president's hands. And so he has the full view. We don't have his full view. So what we are saying is that let us trust the president because he's dealing with several parts of the puzzle. And so if he believes that it's best to go through step 3, if necessary, step 4, and then step 5, if it comes to that, we will trust him. But we told the president that we don't believe that the people on the other side are people that deserve to be trusted. They cannot be trusted. And so we believe that step 3 and step 4 may be useless. But that's only our opinion, right? That's only our opinion. We can only say what we think and say it very clearly. Try to convince the president that it's best if we move to step 5. But if the president believes that, he wants to make sure that he gives every opportunity to peace, negotiation to give the people on the other side the ability to make the right decision. Well, we trust them, and so we say if the president says ghost towns, then ghost town it is. Let's go out. Let's make sure that everyone in the country respects the ghost town. And let us make sure that from Monday till Wednesday, as the president said, there is an effective ghost town all across the country because the president knows where he's going. Now, that's what we are saying. But at the same time, we are also saying, okay, let us prepare for step 5, because we don't believe that the people in Yaoundé will suddenly change. We know how they think, we know what they believe in, and so we are simply planning so that if the president tells us it's step 5, then we want to make sure that that step 5 is clearly and quickly executed. The president may decide that he will not go to that point. That's why he's the president, and so we will sit on the sideline. But as far as we are concerned, let's prepare step 5, and that's where we are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, one of the viewers is saying that when you say president, you mean Tchiroma. Is that person being serious?
Well, there is only one president in Cameroon right now, and that president is Issa Tchiroma Bakary. That's the people's president. So when I say the president, I'm talking about Mr. Tchiroma, because he is the president. Mr. Biya is the former president. When I want to address Mr. Biya, I will address him as the former president. And now, it does not matter what he does now to remain in power. We are not concerned by that. As far as we are concerned, as far as the Cameroonian people is concerned, the president is Issa Tchiroma Bakary.
Thank you, Ben. I'll come back to you in a moment. Mr. Mbu, can you hear us now? All of us see that you are talking, but we don't hear you, Mr. Mbu. We see you talking, but we don't hear you. That is the problem we have. I don't know how we are going to resolve this. Can you send your number to the chat, to the private chat, not the public chat, on the platform? Then the technician will see it. Or could you take off your headpiece and see if you could talk straight into the microphone and hear from the speaker of whatever device you're using? Unmute yourself.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Correct. We can hear you now.
All right. It will appear that my microphone was having a toll on me.
All right. No worries. Thank you so much for the patience and for doing everything possible to join us. And sorry for all the network issues.
Thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity to be here. Greetings to Mr. Ben Modo. My pleasure listening to you throughout, and Mr. Ngalim, I can't see him now, probably he's still on the chat. I don't know where to begin, but let me give a little bit of background, because we come from a backdrop, especially within the Cameroon setting, where it is believed that if you are a man of God, you're not supposed to have anything to do with politics. And as a result of that, a lot of pastors who deal with people on a daily basis are shying away from the things that are actually taking place, especially in our country at the moment. And whether we like it or not, the truth is that these affect everyone, be you Christian, be you non-Christian. I joined politics in 2018 when we were preparing for the presidential election, and I was actually working with the late Prophet Franklin at the time before I eventually decided to just back out before his demise. And I came back fully in 2025 because I felt that finally a time has come where we can, for the first time, have a free and a fair elections in Cameroon without any interference. And I was very active in sensitizing people to register and get their voters cards so that we will not only make noise on social media, but actively take part in the elections when the time do come. And indeed, on the day of the elections, we could see young Cameroonians step out with so much enthusiasm. Everyone was determined to see a change. I am 36 now, and before I was born, the incumbent was president. We didn't have the opportunity of meeting the previous president of Cameroon. And all we've known is the incumbent. And sadly, the only politics Cameroonians do understand is the one that has been taught to us by the ruling party, which is just a glimpse of what true politics really is. And we stepped out on the 12th with so much enthusiasm and excitement that finally the time has come when our voices will be heard. And sadly, things that began seemingly very smooth turn out in a way that was least expected. To be very honest, when the noise was going on, especially a few days before the proclamation of the winner of the presidential election, I was still very hopeful that because of the things that were already happening, the Constitutional Council was going to do for once justice to our votes. We voted here where I am. I would not like to disclose my location for security reasons. We voted and we stayed at the site to make sure that our votes were counted. In fact, I was actually one of those who signed the PVs in my polling units, and I participated in counting and making sure that everything was done transparently. And with that transparency, we had hopes that at the end of the day, whatever happened at the various polling units was going to be reflected at the end as the results will be given. When we started seeing results coming from the Northwest and the Southwest, and those of us who took part in voting in these areas, we know what happened. We know the turnout. We know that there are many people who did not vote, even though they had their voter's card. I remember going to where I registered to get my voter's card, and I saw a pile of voter's cards. And I came and I was wondering with a neighbor, what is going to happen to the people this way if they do not rush? And that was about 3 days to the election day, if they do not rush to go pick up their voter's card. And the few who did expressed themselves. But sadly, like Mr. I think it was Mr. Yu said, the fraud we saw in this election did not take place in Yaoundé at the central government. It took place in those areas where a lot of people were afraid to go. I come from a community and I was constantly making calls on the day of the elections. And to be honest with you, the only people who stepped out in my own community, the only people who stepped out were the mayor, his deputy, the Joe, and military personnel, and then a few electoral officials, with only 3 SDF representatives. And if you put the number together, they were not up to 20. But sadly, the results that came out from our polling, from those polling units, stated that the CBDM or the incumbent candidate had 1,600 votes. As to how those votes came about, no one knows. And as we speak now, people's hearts are bleeding because they know the truth. They know what transpired, but the figures are not a reflection of the desires of the people. I've asked, and I'll continually ask, what was the essence of these elections if they were not going to allow the results at the polls to speak for themselves? They spent about 44 billion on these elections. At least things were better. Comparatively, things were better before the elections compared to how they are now. And we are, I don't know how to put it, our hearts are heavy because honestly,
thank you,
our
Mr.
hopes were dashed and we do not know the way forward now. As it stands at the moment, we know that Tchiroma wants to reclaim what he called his victory. The question now is, the plans he has with those of us on ground, how do they agree?
So, Mr. Ambu, just give me
Yes,
just give me 1 second. He called for public demonstrations on Sunday. Then now he has called for ghost towns on between the 3rd and the 5th. So, are you in accordance or in disaccordance with these plans?
Well, this first thing is that calling for a peaceful protest is one thing, and for a peaceful protest to actually take place is completely another. At first, the protests were peaceful. We do not know where these other groups of people came from that hijacked the protest and turned it violent. And at the end of the day, sadly, people lost their lives. And now calling for another aspect of civil disobedience, which is the ghost towns. I think Tchiroma was among those who castigated and criticized the use of ghost towns when the Anglophone crisis started. And if he has resolved into calling for ghost town, it actually means that even in the midst of their criticism, they knew that the ghost towns was hurting the government. And I guess that is why he has called for it. The truth is, we know that just as people respected the protest, people are obviously going to respect the ghost towns. But the question is, how long are these people willing to keep following these orders? I made a short post this morning after reading the communique of Mr. Issa Tchiroma, the English version and the French version. When you look at the comments under the French version and the comments under the English version, you will know that these are two different breeds of people. Why those on the French version are already complaining, they're already tired. They feel that they should just let things be the way they are. Some people say they're already struggling to get food. And I'm asking,
So where do you stand? Where do you stand on President Tchiroma's calls? Are you for or against the ghost towns and the demonstrations?
as long as this is a peaceful way of going about this, I don't have a problem with it. My only problem is the vandalism that took place and the loss of lives. For those of us who have been in the Northwest and the Southwest for over 9 years now, we've gone through so much already. And anyone who has been opportune to experience this just for a month will tell you that this is not easy.
So going forward, if you had to make a recommendation to President Tchiroma on strategies on how to reclaim the victory that you say was stolen from him, what would be the two critical strategies to reclaim that victory?
The first thing will be, like Mr. Yu said, there is need to be able to identify those people who were involved in this alarming fraud that took place at the grassroots. And we already know that even if these things are taken up with the courts in our country, there's likely little or nothing that will be done about it. The focus will be looking at the international court to see whether something can be done in that light. The second thing is, if you've observed, you realize that 43 years is not 43 days, it's not 43 months. The CBTM has roots on the ground, and for you to be able to uproot them. We saw the precedents of what happened with the Anglophone crisis. All of these measures aren't just going to work. Another strategy they could actually use is trying to convince some of the regime loyalists to see if they can back him. But as long as they cannot be able to effectively uproot these people, it is going to be difficult. I remember one time.
Did you hear Tchiroma today say that some military loyalists actually saved him from a possible kidnap or an attack or something, and he's safe with them?
Yes, I heard that, and I was a little bit scared.
Why were you scared?
I was scared because what parameters did he use to know that these people who supposedly took him to safety are actually loyal to him? There could be people who are actually loyal to the regime and are just playing with time. The same thing that happened with Naira 10. None of us ever knew that this was going to happen. It happened anyway. Even when a court in Nigeria declared that what happened was illegal and that the people were supposed to be returned, up to date, nothing has happened. They have been sentenced anyway. So, in as much as that could sound like good news, I was skeptical. Anybody who has known what the regime is capable of should already know that everything is possible.
So at this point, you sound hopeless.
Sadly, that is the situation in which we find ourselves. Not just me, many other Cameroonians.
So to you, the 43 years are definitely going to continue because Cameroonians don't have a way to push through?
And that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we can't go back and start using the same strategies that the Anglophone use.
So what strategies are you proposing that the Anglophones did not use?
That actually failed. The Anglophones began with peaceful protest. We saw the massive crackdown. From peaceful protests, they went to ghost towns, and from lockdown, from good standard, degenerated into long period of lockdowns. Literally, nothing seemed to have changed. And at the end of the day, it is the Anglophones who suffer from all of these measures the most.
So are you proposing, because your two proposals that you made were, one, identify those who orchestrated the fraud and punish them, and then two is to advise people in the CPDM to get out of the CPDM and support Tchiroma?
That is not what I said.
What did you say?
I didn't mean you have to advise them. Advising them is not going to be that easy. What we are talking about here is switching loyalty. And this can only be done by Tchiroma himself. Nobody can do it because people have been offering interviews left and right and making appeals. But these appeals haven't worked. And we know that for somebody to switch side, there must be something they will gain at the end of it.
Give us a few examples.
We heard from Jean Afrique, I don't know how true that is, that the incumbent proposed the position of a prime minister to Issa, who turned it down. Why don't you use the same cards on the same people? Because obviously, if the regime truly proposed the position of a prime minister to Issa, it means that our own Dr. John Gute was going to be laid off. And that was a man who actively campaigned for the incumbent. Or probably sent to another position, and whatever position he was going to be sent to, obviously was going to be very insignificant as compared to the position in which he finds himself. Which therefore means that while Issa seemed to have lobby groups, I don't know whether to really call them lobby groups, I think it is time for him to reach out to the same people who were with him in the government. He knows them better than everyone else. All right. Make proposals to them as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mbu. I think I finally got your points. Ben Modo, you hear here that the point is encouraging those who are within the system to switch loyalty. Is that something that could fall within Plan during the phase 4 or phase 5 of the plan?
I don't believe it's something that's going to work. You know, there is, if you don't know the mindset, you know, have you ever dealt with someone who feels entitled to something? Just think about it. Think you are talking to Prince Williams in England, and then you are trying to negotiate with Prince Williams, trying to convince him that he should leave his position to you. You understand? You understand the problem here? Is that he knows it's a birthright. Why should he talk to you? Who are you? That's exactly the mindset you have in Yaoundé. It's that you have a group of people who believe they are the chosen ones. It was given to them by God himself. And you are coming to tell them, hey, you have to leave. What do you think? And they have all the money. They have all the people they need. They have all the resources they need. What means are you going to use to convince them to leave?
But Ben, we have seen situations where incumbent people leave. Emerson,
well,
the president of Zimbabwe, he turned against Mugabe.
But Bernard, those are reasonable people. Now, let's think together. Someone who's been minister for 13 years, and immediately after that, prime minister for 7 years, that's 20 years already. And immediately after that, president of a republic for 43 years. And after 63 years, the person is running for another term, 93 years old. Does that sound reasonable to you? So
is a problem here, Paul Biya? Is a problem here the Paul Biya man, or is a problem here the men who are around him, like Ngongo, who want to continue benefiting?
Well, they are all together. You know, they are all together. If you had anyone reasonable around the president, that person would have already convinced the president to leave. Take Mr. Biya's son. He's 55 years old. Now, if you are 55 years old and your father is 93 years old and there is a problem, won't you talk to your father? I mean, in a normal world, wouldn't you be doing? I mean, you would be doing everything in your power to talk sense into your father's mind.
Ben, are you saying that Brenda? Are you saying that when Brenda told us,
you don't have? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, are you saying that when Brenda told us not to vote for Paul Biya, she was not giving this same message in house?
I mean, Brenda's case is a case study. I don't want to talk about her because she's not right in her mind right now. So I would not be expanding on that because there is a lot going on. You know, at this time she's. I mean, I don't want to talk about her condition. I prefer to stay there. What I'm saying is, we have at least one person, the former president's son, who is 55 years old. So he's old enough to have his own family. He's old enough to have kids in the 30s, right? So when you face a problem like that, you know your dad has been in government for 63 years, the last 43 years as president, the 7 years before that as prime minister, the 13 years before that as minister. Wouldn't it make sense to sit your father down and tell him, okay, Dad, I think we've had enough? That's what I believe. That's what a normal family would do. That's what a normal family that is reasonable would do. If you think about a normal family, I mean, there are things that I used to be married before, right? And if they gave Mr. Bia, my former wife, I mean, he wouldn't be president even for 10 years. You understand? Because she would talk so much sense in your mind that you will run for your life. And I believe that was what the former the former first lady was doing, and it cost her life. You understand what I'm saying? It's that when you have people around you who are reasonable, those people will always make sure that you do the right thing because they love you without limit, and they are reasonable. So in the current context, you do not have reasonable people at the presidency. You do not.
So you are saying it is impossible
everything you do. I'm sorry?
So you are saying it is impossible for anyone in the Biya regime to switch loyalty right now?
It is simply impossible. The people of Cameroon need to understand this as a show of strength. If Mr. Biya and his regime believe that they are stronger than the people, the situation is hopeless because they know they have the means to crush you. And they showed that over the last week. So the only answer that can make someone think twice before doing something is if the person believes and knows that you are at least stronger. You know, you guys have the same fight, the same strength. If they continue to think that you are weak, you represent nothing in that negotiation. And that's the reason why we are telling President Tchiroma that, okay, listen, we trust you, but this thing is a show of strength. You have to discourage Mr. Bia's camp from even doing or thinking about going to war against the people. How do you do that? Number one, you recruit 400,000 people, young people. You equip, you form a parallel army. And the people are willing to do that. It's a military service. If they know, if the people in Yaoundé know, the whole army of Cameroon is about 100,000 people. So you have the army, you have the police, you have the gendarmerie, all together about 100,000 people. Just think about it. If they get up 2 or 3 days from now and they know 400,000 young Cameroonians are going to have guns, you think they will go into various neighborhoods to kill people? They will think twice before doing it. They will be sent and they will start refusing orders, taking orders from their leaders. Why? Because they know they are no more safe. You think if Mr. Tchiroma orders a military service of 400,000, that's four times the current army.
Ben,
you understand? You understand the strategy here?
I understand the strategy, but Ben, is that not a little bit an illusion? Because where would Tchiroma
Why is
train?
it an illusion?
Yeah, where would Tchiroma take the space to train 400,000 soldiers within the territory of Cameroon?
Does he need a space to do that?
Do you train in
the
air?
guns that are available are automatic guns. They are used like they are so intuitive that they could be. It's just like a computer. You take a computer, you give to someone, right? That person in this age will be able to use that computer. If you are from another generation, it will take time for you to use it.
Let me come to you in a moment.
We are saying, yeah.
Ben, let me come back to you in a moment, please. Mr. You spoke. We were talking a few moments ago before Ben joined, and you were advocating largely for the non-violent strategies that the South African movements used to fight apartheid. When Ben is talking about the mindset of those who are in power right now in Yaoundé, do you have the impression that the peaceful apartheid movement can succeed in Cameroon?
Yes.
Make no mistake. I understand the the thinking of Mr. Ben, and I partly agree with him. But I'm saying that I've looked at the regimes, how they work over since 1992, how they suppress movements like this, and we need a collective approach, not just one. Yes, there is need for show of force, but there's need to have that PR, that soft power. And the soft power is in still trying to use the law, still trying to use advocacy, still trying to use media effectively. Now, you're going up against a regime that has all the resources of the country, the commonwealth of the country in their pocket. They have like the checkbook of the country. So they have unlimited resources to do all those things. But all you have is the people against the regime. But I'm saying that the people need to deploy multiple strategies to crumble the regime, not just force. Yes, force, it's just one, but you need to deploy, like exposing the people who actually rigged election, going through town by town, village by village, and saying, this is the person responsible for this. Exposing those people is very important because it dissuades the next person from doing that in the next election. Because the person who probably is responsible for the region, for a province, made so much money and wants to go abroad. If you can carry out enough advocacy to have that person on a banned list that they cannot travel abroad, what do they do with that money that they got from the regime? It gets them frustrated. All the things that they want are the things that we need to take away from them. That is what you do with soft power advocacy. The people who are advocating for show of strength, I think they have an argument, they have their place, and they should advocate for that. I'm not on the ground to go on the streets and fight. And I cannot tell somebody to go on the streets and fight. I can only tell somebody to do something that I feel it's safe for that person. I get it. I get the people who want to show strength, who want to go and fight. But I'm coming from 9 years of the Anglophone crisis, and I've learned a few things. I've lost so many friends, family, and all of that. And right now, I've learned a few lessons to say, listen, there are people who are going to advocate for strength and do strength. But if we do strength and we don't do soft power at the same time, that strength is going to tire out. And the regime has got more resources to eventually tire out that strength. And if you are not doing soft power and all these other related things, that is where you would fail. If you just take one approach, which is hard approach. I'm saying take a collective of strategies and push them all out at once. That's why I said we needed to help. We need to help Tchiroma. We need the opposition. We need to pressure the opposition. I know so many people are defending the SDF that we don't have to be bashing them. But at the beginning of the elections, OC said they have representatives at every polling unit. Why are those representatives not coming out with the SDF, the PVs from the various polling units to show the people if the numbers that Elecam has published are true? Why are we not pressuring? I mean, we cannot defend OC just because he's Anglophone and no, he's one of our own. No. It's a political party, and that party was formed on the blood of Anglophone people. Our parents, our brothers died for SDF to be formed. Now, if SDF has representatives in 31,000 polling units, why are we not seeing the CVs? What's the policy within the SDF to release those PVs? So those are the things. We don't only have to look at the regime. We have to look at the smaller pieces of the puzzle. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not arguing with those people who want to show strength. I mean, there's 29 plus million Cameroonians. The military is not even up to 100,000. It's 37,000 all plus their reservists. It's a very small number. The truth is, if you got 5 million people on the streets across the country, will run down the military in a week. But can we do that? Can we realistically do that? If we can do that,
I think Ben's argument here is that they would not think twice if it takes killing 5 million people in one day. Am I right, Ben?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they are ready and willing to do everything in their power to remain there. We need to understand this. This has to be understood, because if we don't understand that, if the people believe that the BR regime is made of people who are considering or entertaining the idea of not being in power anytime soon, then that's a huge mistake. They are in power. They love being in power. They will do anything and everything in their power to remain there. This is what the first thing everyone needs to understand. And we saw that. There was an election 3 weeks ago. The people of Cameroon actually decided to change their president. And they elected Mr. Tchiroma. Everyone saw that. But the people in power decided to change that. They don't respect the people of Cameroon. And so what makes you think that they will respect when you come in a few days to tell them, okay, listen, let's talk? I don't think this is the time to talk. I mean, I believe that if Cameroonians want to waste time, they have the choice they can decide to go talk. And they will talk all the time you can think of. And it will give nothing, because time is on their side. Think about this. Mr. Biya is planning to swear in as president again in a few days. Now, the strategy that is adopted, let's talk about ghost towns, for instance. Again, don't get me wrong. I support the ghost towns, but I'm just showing the limits of the ghost towns. Is that the idea is that it's going to impact the government's finances, the government's treasury. Now, that's true. But what if this government has 2 or 3 months worth of reserves to pay government workers' salaries? So if the government can pay its bills for 2 or 3 months, your ghost town is going to have no impact over the next 60 days. And if you give this government 60 days, it's game over. Why? Because they will do everything that needs to be done to remain in power. So you have to understand what's at stake. You have to understand that, one, you have no time, because the minute Mr. Biya does what he wants to do in a few days, swears in as president again, the next step is going to be to change the constitution, and he will do that. And when that constitution is changed, there's going to be a vice president who, if something happens to the president, that person becomes the president for them. So when you wait 1 month because you want to hit the government financially, you are actually giving them time to implement their plan. And in 30 days, you will have a system where the problem is no more Mr. Biya, but it's now Mr. Biya and his vice president. Because the new laws will say, if Mr. Biya is not there, then Mr. Ngongo takes over. So now you have someone who has a claim on the presidency. Then your whole plan goes down. So what we are trying to tell Cameroonians is that they don't have as much time as they think. This is not something they should wait out. They should act, and act now.
Let me come back to you and talk about the urgency of the next steps that need to be taken. Mr. Mbu, you've heard the different strategies that Ben and Derek are outlining. Which one seems more feasible to you?
Okay. Thank you. First, I want to say that I strongly disagree the strategy where there will be need to use force. Anyone who has lived the Anglophone crisis will know that that is a strategy that is going to be counterproductive. We cannot be advocating for force when we've realized that the force that the Anglophones have put up for these 9 years have failed and have failed woefully, because at the end of the day, it is Anglophones that are falling in the hands of this force. We must understand that you can't keep doing something in the same way and expect a different result. Cameroonians are not prepared for that strategy, which is a strategy of the use of force. At the end of the day, we're going to lose many Cameroonians to that, and nothing will come out of it. We understand that it is going to be difficult to convince the people who are in government to listen. We understand that it is going to be a very difficult thing to be able for Tchiroma to be able to get his acclaimed victory. He can use any other strategy, but that strategy of force should be rolled out. The second thing we should be thinking about in relation to this strategy of force is how delicate the ground north is in relation to the fact that people are allowed to take up arms. It is going to be very dangerous. We have Boko Haram on the other hand. We have insurgents that are in Chad. We have them in Central African Republic. We have some in Nigeria, and these are our neighbors. And if the population are instigated to pick up arms, it is going to allow for easy infiltration of all of these armed groups. And before you know it, there is going to be a bloodbath. And let us know that just as suppose fighting has been going on in the northwest and the southwest, life has been going on in other parts of Cameroon as if nothing is happening. And if that happens in the ground north, life will go on in Yaoundé in the south and some part of the west as if nothing is happening. But Cameroonians will keep falling to bullets. We must understand that the country is already at a very delicate position, especially in terms of security. And we should also appreciate the fact that the security forces in the ground north are doing an amazing job. I've been opportune to work in the far north. I've been to some of those areas that have been affected, and I would tell you, these security personnel are putting their lives at stake for the security of the people that live in these areas. And if we give a little chance for everyone to have access to arms, we will not have a country tomorrow to call our own. I keep saying we have to go back to the drawing board. If Tchiroma really believes he won, force should not be part of his strategy. He should go back to the drawing board. Talk to the people that matter. And when I talk about the people that matter, it's not just the ministers in Yaoundé. It's not just the directors of the various government institutions. I'm also talking about military personnel, reaching out to them. We saw what happened in Côte d'Ivoire, 2010, 2011, where the military broke into two camps. And eventually, one camp captured the other. This strategy, I don't even see it also going to come to that point. Yes.
Yeah, I am a little bit confused. It appeared to me previously that you said Tchiroma won and the elections were rigged, and those who committed the fraud should be taken to court. Now, it seems to me that you are saying that if Tchiroma believes that he won, giving me the impression that you are saying that Tchiroma did not win. Where are we?
Well, I'm saying so on the legal terms, because at the end of the day, whatever the Constitutional Council says stands. It is at the position of the person who feels that he or she has been cheated is to come forth and to defend his position. According to the laws of the land, whatever the Constitutional Council has said is what should be. And
so if I'm understanding you well, whatever the Constitutional Council says going forward is what we should respect, even if we believe and have the evidence that the Constitutional Council made a mistake.
No, that is not what I mean.
Clarify us.
That is not what I mean.
Clarify
Remember,
us,
I began by saying that the fraud happened in this election. And it was evident for everyone to see. And I give an example of the place where I come from, about the things that happened.
That is exactly what made me think that you said that the election was frauded.
Yes. So I am saying that I am disagreeing with the aspect of using force, because history has taught us that this is not going to work.
Are you saying that force has never worked in any other system?
No. I'm referring to our own context as a country. Force hasn't worked before. And it is obviously not going to work. Because like we all have agreed, the government has all the resources. And they can drag this as much as 20 years and still win.
All right.
Because
let me jump over to Ben Modo. Ben, it seems you have not succeeded to convince those on the panel that your strategy is the right strategy. Do you think you will convince the rest of the Cameroonians out there?
Well, it's not about convincing them. It's about.
But of course, you are working with Cameroonians. You cannot be doing something for Cameroonians without.
No, I mean, my job is simply, Bernard, my job here is simply to say, okay, listen, this is where we are. And based on everything else, this is what I believe we should go. When we talk about force, I think that in the Nozo region, things could have been done differently. The idea of showing strength was the right idea, but I don't think that it should be in the hands of a few. And that was the biggest mistake in the Nozo region. I've told some of them that before. It's because when you have a strategy and that strategy is confined into the hands of a few, those few become the targets. Are you getting me? And that's the reason why when the current army, Mr. Bia's army, once they have identified those few people, they can fight those people effectively. And that was the biggest mistake in the Nozo war. Now, what we are proposing was actually inspired from there. And we understand what's at stake. We understand that sometimes in order for you to have peace, you have to prepare the war. If you don't do that, you won't have peace. That's number one. Number two, you have 100,000 people all together in our armed forces in Cameroon. If you have a force of 10,000 people, obviously you will not be able to overwhelm 100,000 people. That was the second problem in the Nozo strategy. So we are solving those issues now by saying, okay, listen, this is not a matter of 10,000 people. This is not a matter of 20,000 people. This is a military service for the people of Cameroon. It's the people of Cameroon standing up to say, we are going to put an end to Mr. Bia's regime. If it's a faction, then it becomes just that. The army, Mr. Bia's army, against a faction. Even if you have 30,000 people there, it's not going to be balanced. What needs to be done is actually, number one, take that number so far up that when they hear about the number, when they hear about the 400,000 people, it's not like everyone's going to be taken out to a place, get trained, and then the army will march. No, it's not that. I'm in Texas right now. And the Constitution of the United States actually gives the right to people to bear arms. Do you think for one moment that the army could come to Texas and just start killing people without any reaction? It will be tough. Any army would think twice before doing something in Texas. Now, do you think it would be easier to do that in New York? Yeah, it would be easier to do that in New York. Why? Because someone who has guns, a group of people with guns, will feel mightier when they carry out their crime in New York than they would feel if they carried that in Dallas, for instance. In Dallas, they know anyone can also have a gun and shoot back. In New York, because it's not allowed, they will feel stronger and more powerful to do that. That's what we are trying to explain. It's that Mr. Biya's army, because that is his army, it's not the army of Cameroon. Mr. Biya's army is currently going out, destroying the people of Cameroon. If Mr. Biya knows, if his army knows that there is a register of 400,000 people who have been identified, who have been vetted by Mr. Tchiroma's administration, who are equipped with arms to be part of the next army. Because think about it, we are not saying we are giving arms to everyone. That's not what we are saying. What we are saying is,
Ben,
yeah,
let's talk. Let's keep the arms conversation for another time and talk something else. I want us to talk about. I'll come to you, Mr. Mbu. Yeah, I'll come to you. I just want to clarify something with Mr. Ben, something we had been talking about off screen.
Mm-hmm.
So you're one of those who is advocating that Tchiroma should appoint a transitionary government or a governance team, take his oath of office, and start working, and maybe even declare Garoua as the capital of Cameroon. Do you still stand by that, or things have changed?
Yeah, I mean it's part of the plan. I believe that he should take the oath of the office and officially be in his role. I believe that he should appoint ambassadors in Europe and America. He has very capable people around him, and I believe that he should appoint those people and give them the chance to do their jobs. So I think he should do that. I think he should do that. Not doing that is hurting him, and it's hurting the people of Cameroon. So that's what I think. Yes, I still support that.
So at this point, if he's going to appoint a team, a governance team that he's going to work with, it's I know in today's world we can work remote, but those who are working with him will need to survive. Where would he take the resources from to pay the staff?
Well, he's the president of the republic. It means he has the power to find the means, and there are people who will help him find those means. But it starts with him taking that oath, because once he takes that oath, it's the start of something that will be ongoing. He will find the means to pay his salaries, to pay his employees, government employees, and he will have the means to take care of his country. He's the president. So
all right,
I don't see the financial problems he has now could end once he takes that oath. And we've talked to so many people internationally who believe that that's where it starts. You know,
All right,
if you are the president of Cameroon,
let's talk about this some other time. Ms. Sambu, you wanted to react to what Ben said. I'm looking at the clock. We are just a few minutes away from the 2-hour mark, which I want us to close. Your reaction to what Ben said, then I'll give you all 1 minute each to give you a concluding statement, and then we go off.
All right. I was just wanting to say that the problem I see with the presentation of Mr. Ben is that he's speaking from abstract, just like those who are leading the Anglophone crisis did. And this explains why we find ourselves where we are today. If you've been opportune to be on the ground, you will know better that these methods may not work that easily. We achieve multipartism without arms. We were about achieving the desires of the Anglophones before the people who introduced arms came in and destroyed everything. And at the end of the day, we lost literally everything. And if Tchiroma goes the same route, the truth remains, nothing will come out of it. Because at the end of the day, the government may completely be cut off from the country like what we see in the Anglophone regions, and life will go on as if nothing is happening. My call, therefore, to Cameroonians is, I am still advocating for non-violent means of reclaiming victory. Non-violent means. The truth is, people may eventually still die in the non-violent means, but we need to pursue it, because there comes a time where the government will bend, as they were about to bend for the Anglophone crisis before support leaders came in and destroyed everything. And we should not go that same route. We will end up in another chaos that will be more terrible than the one we already have now. Cameroonians on the ground already know what they are going through. They know the experiences they have on a daily basis. They know the struggles that they are having. So,
all right, Mr. Ambu,
if Tchiroma will want to continually get the confidence of the people, he must make sure that he stays on the lane of non-violent strategies of reclaiming his victory. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, you've made a point. I was going to follow up with the non-violent strategies that he could use to reclaim his victory, but we can have that conversation at some other time, because you've discounted ghost towns, you've discounted peaceful demonstrations on the street. So I'm thinking of other non-strategic, non-violent.
No, I did not discount. I did not discount.
We can talk about this at some other time. Yeah, let's talk about it at some other time. Mr. Derry, can we have your final word as we round up the program?
Again, thank you for having me, Ben and team. I want people to see that all our viewpoints, right? Like, nobody has all the answers. Ben has some of the answers. I do have some of the answers, and Mr. Mbutu has some of the answers. You should, as we have a conversation and engagement, you should learn to be progressive and pick out the positives from the various viewpoints and add them together. That is how we build a progressive force movement, if I may say. So it doesn't mean that when somebody starts off with the point that you disagree with, you then discount all the other good points that the person makes after that. Because I've listened to Mr. Boo, I've listened to Mr. Ben, I've heard them make very important point that somebody is making, and then you categorize that person to be a bad person. You fail to learn and you fail to grow. So what I'm hoping to see in the next few days, today Tchiroma said he was scattered away by a faction of patriotic military. What I would care to see in the next few days is if he would call on that faction of patriotic on his side, because I think if he calls, some military are going to take up that responsibility to defend what is called his votes. And once you have a little bit of military standing up to defend the people's vote against Tchiroma, it's on. I think that is where the show of force can come, where military who believe that Tchiroma won the election politicians stand up to defend that. That's what I believe. And all the other strategies that I said, it's what civil society should be doing, what legal minds should be doing. Media, we need to expose the people who actually rigged the election from community level. We need to contest the numbers area. Elekam is claiming that this number, but the signed PVs from this area demonstrated by this and this and this shows that this is what happened. And that is going to help us. I'm also hoping that Tchiroma and his team are advocating and reaching out to get partners across Africa. I think that a lot of African countries have seen what has gone on and they have seen the rigging. And if he goes out and sets his hands to get alliances, I think he will find some alliances. And that is where the equation will balance, where he actually gets real support to support what he's doing. If he's declaring himself and all of that, he should do that not to bluff, but he should do that because he has backing and alliances across the continent or around the world. So, but I would like to see what he would do, to improve or to imprint on the statement that he made this morning. Whether he's going to call on the military that feels they are patriotic to defend the people's vote to come out. I think that is how the military would stand down if they see part of the military stand to people. I don't think in this instant we can train the people to defend themselves. It's a lie that we would lie to ourselves. But I believe that there's military that have seen or can be demonstrated that the elections were rigged by showing, region by region, town by town, how the numbers changed with what Elekam is putting out. It would convince a lot more militaries to say, listen, if you take up the arms against the people, I'm taking my own arms up against you. And there would be, two different camps in the military. And that is where I think that the equation would work out. That is my own belief. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Ms. Ambu, can we have your closing word? Hello, Ms. Ambu, can you hear me?
Yes. All right.
Yeah, can we have your closing word?
Thank you so much, Mr. Thank you so much, Mr. Ngalim. I will just want to call on every Cameroonian, whatever things you are doing in relation to what is going on right now, make sure that you are as peaceful as possible. Be as peaceful as possible. Do not vandalize businesses of other Cameroonians that are struggling like yourself, and do not get into unnecessary trouble. Make sure that if they say they are observing ghost towns, stay indoors. There's no reason going out to show that you can do better. We've lived in the Anglophone regions and we know when it is ghost town, we locked ourselves indoors because that's the best security. If something happens to you in your house, it's better than happening to you on the street because you disobeyed maybe an instruction that could harm you or be disadvantageous to yourself and your family. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ambu. Mr. Ben Moro, can we have your last word?
Yeah, I mean, I'll invite Cameroonians not to get too comfortable with their sufferings. They know it's wrong to injustice. Justice strengthens a nation. Injustice destroys a nation. They know with Mr. Biya, there will be no justice. They know with one of his gangs, there will be no justice. They know that. And so what we are saying is Cameroonians elected Mr. Tchiroma president. We trust Mr. Tchiroma. We believe that he has a good strategy, but we simply happen to think that we will be waiting for him somewhere else, a little further down the road. So when the people reach the conclusion that everything else has not worked, then we are willing and ready to help. That's what we say.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you so much, Mr. Mbu. Thank you so much, Derek. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing these 2 hours with us. It's been peaceful, it's been reasonable, and it's been an exchange of ideas. And that is exactly what we want. That is exactly how we want to build the future of Africa. where we share ideas respectfully, disagree respectfully, but think about the future, think about what we share together, what we share in common, and how to make that the best of the future for us. On this, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we have I think there is going to be a long broadcast tomorrow, which is going to be a meeting. Once that happens, we'll send out the links to the various channels for anyone who wants to watch. So thank you. Have a nice end of your day and see you tomorrow.
Thank you.